everyone. So today I'm going to talk about cognitivism learning theory. Don't worry, I will explain it in a simple way because honestly this theory sounds more complicated than it actually is. So let's get started. So basically cognitivism is a learning theory that focuses on how our brain processes information instead of just looking at behavior from the outside like someone studied and got good grades. Cognitivism wants to understand what's happening inside the mind during the learning. You can think the brain like a computer. Information comes in, the brain processes it, stores it, and later uses it again when needed. So learning is not just about memorizing things, but about understanding, organizing, and remembering information. For example, imagine you are learning how to drive a car. At first, maybe your brain is overwhelmed. You have to think about the steering wheel, mirrors, brakes, traffic sign, literally everything at once. But after practicing many times, your brain organizes that information and driving starts to feel natural. That's what cognitivism is interested in. How do people think? How do they remember? How do they solve problems? One important idea in cognitivism is memory. There are actually different stages of memory. First, we have sensory memory. This is when information enters through our sense, like when we see or hear, but it only stays for a very short. And finally, there's long-term memory. This is where information is stored for a long time. Things like your childhood memories, your native language, or formulas you somehow still remember from school even though you haven't used them in years. So another important part of cognitivism is that learners are considered active participants. So students are not just empty bottles waiting to be filled with information. Instead, they actively connect new knowledge with new things they already know. For example, if a teacher explains the solar system by comparing it to something students already understand, like a family or a team, students usually learn faster because the brains like connection and patterns. Cognitivism also believes that understanding is more important than repetition alone. So instead of just memorizing answers, students should understand concepts and meaning. That's why techniques like mind maps, visual diagrams, storytelling, problem-solving activities, and step-by-step explanation are very effective in learning. Some famous figures related to cognitivism are Jean Piaget and Jeremy Brenner. Piaget believed that children learn differently depending on their stage of development. Meanwhile, Brenner believes students learn better when they discovered ideas themselves instead of only receiving information passively. So in conclusion, cognitivism learning theory is all about understanding how the mind works during the learning. It focuses on thinking, memory, understanding, and problem solving. This theory teaches us that learning becomes more active when information is organized, meaningful, and connected to what we already know. And honestly, I think this theory makes a lot of sense because most people learn better when they truly understand something, not when they just memorize it at the night before the exam and forget it 2 days later. So yeah, that's the basic explanation of cognitivism learning theory. Thank you for listening and I hope this explanation made you easier to understand. Thank you!